Okay, so we are recording. So, welcome everyone to the Heart to Heart interview series. I'm Melany. I guide souls and heal hearts. And this is just an interview series with all the psychics, healers, coaches from all over the world that I love, that I follow. And I really want to get to the core of what really blocks our hearts and how can we release that so that we can be happy and really live a fulfilled life. And today I'm really excited. I'm having a heart to heart with Mark Karlsson, who was one of my coaches, and I've been to several of his workshops. Mark is a spiritual life coach, a healer, a guide, a mentor, and a seminar leader for over 15 years. And
Over 20 years,
over
actually, yeah.
20 years now.
Yeah, I'm getting on.
Wow. Well, I know that I've been following you for maybe 8 years now, or I can't
Yeah,
remember
is
how
it? I don't,
long.
no, I can't remember.
But just before we start, I would like to share my story with you, if you don't mind.
Great. No, I
Um,
don't mind.
one of the workshops that you do called Open to Love with Sandra,
Mm-mm.
I had one of the biggest heart releases, and I really remember sobbing, and it was just an amazing experience for me. And not long after, I went to another one of your workshops, and actually, you did a reading for me. And you predicted that I would be meeting my partner soon. And I remember at that time, I wasn't it wasn't anywhere in my radar. I really wasn't feeling it. But I think it was a combination of the heart release, the heart opening. 2 months after that reading, I actually met my partner Johnny, and I'm still with him today.
Fantastic. I remember it now. That was at the workshop, wasn't it? It was at the Learn the Tarot, was it?
Yeah, it
Or was it?
was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do remember it now. Come back to me. You'd mentioned this to me before, and I'd forgotten, but I remember now it was actually in the workshop. Yeah.
And I think it was a
So that's
week
great.
before
That's
that
really
I did
great.
the Open to Love. So it was. I think it was
Okay. So yeah,
the
yeah.
heart
Okay.
opening really. I think is what allowed
Sure. Sure, it does.
that
But
to
it
happen.
takes it opens the doors. It's the greatest place we can get to. I think if we get whatever method we use to get the heart open, changes life. It literally changes life. It can't
Totally.
not because yeah,
So, do you mind just before we start telling us a little bit about your story? Obviously, I know you and I've been following you for a long time, but for those people that don't know you, just telling us a little bit about how you got
yeah.
started and
Well, I'm from the northeast of England. I was brought up in an industrial town, and so I started my working life as an instrument technician, and I hated it, but it was well paid. I worked on the oil rigs and But at the age of 25, I decided to go on a 6 month holiday, or well, working holiday to Australia, thinking that I'd go back, and I've never lived back since that day. So that's almost 30 years ago now. And whilst in Sydney, I went on a seminar. I listened to a radio announcement that said, "Do you need more confidence? Would you like to be able to attract the perfect relationship? Do you want to make more money? And lots of other things." And I answered, I ticked every one of them. Yes, yes, yes. So I went to this free talk, and it's strange because I went with my girlfriend at the time, and we got to the town hall in Sydney, and she said, no, I said, well, let's forget it. I started getting frightened and resistant. I said, let's forget it. Let's go for a beer. And she said, no, no. And she dragged me in. And strangely, she never did the seminar, but I did. I ended up, it was a free talk that night, but I paid for the seminar, and it was life changing. It was pivotal for me because it was the first time in my life that I'd found something that I was so interested in. This was personal development. And since then I lived in Hong Kong, and I met lots of healers, and I trained in many healing modalities. I went on numerous seminars, and I reattended them and became the assistant. And I sold one of the network marketing products for about 3 years in Hong Kong, and I was on stage 3 times a week. Teaching this, presenting this. So I got great skills. I mention that because when I look back, there wasn't any area of my life that hasn't been relevant for the skills that I've learned right now. So everything's purposefully there, And I think it's good to recognize that, because often I work with clients regularly that say, I'm doing the wrong thing. I should be this and I should be that. And yet it's all training. As long as you keep working on finding what has heart for you, everything that you do is specific, is great, because you'll learn from it. So anyway, that's what happened. And I ended up, I started reading tarot cards. I had no money, and I read tarot cards and sold this product. And I was amazed when people would come back and say it came true. They'd come back and see me and say, that was great, it came true. And it really blew me away, because I always felt like I was making it up, not in a bad way, but because it did used to sort of come through me, but I didn't understand channeling at that time. And I would feel like, God, I feel like I'm just making this stuff up. And people would come out and say, that really happened, And so that's the tarot cards was the beginning of it, and then healing work, and then I just expanded. I started teaching classes. I have a funny story. I was down in Koh Samui, and well, actually, it's a long, boring story. Anyway, I was thrown in to teach my first Reiki class. I didn't want to, but I was just thrown into it, and which often happens. I couldn't escape it, and so that's how that whole thing started. And I've never looked back. There's been times when I wanted to quit because I struggled with money problems younger, and in my early days, the reason I got onto this path was because I had lots of insecurities and addiction problems. So I came on the path essentially to heal myself. That's really the truth. And as I've healed myself, I've also learned to help other people. And I continue to heal myself. It's a never-ending process, but it is a lot easier now, I must admit.
It is.
A lot easier. Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about you and your work, obviously because I follow you on the WhatsApp group, on your newsletters and everything, is that you always talk about the heart. And obviously I believe that it's all about the heart. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about the significance of, in psychological terms, about the heart?
Yeah, I think with the work that I've done on myself over the years, looking back in retrospect, what I've come to realize is any issue in my life it's basically pointing me to an area of my psyche that I'm not loving. So anything that shows up as a challenge outside or a blockage is simply showing me that I'm not loving myself enough yet. And so I wholeheartedly believe that the work of loving self, which is opening the heart and learning to follow the heart, will open every area of life. As you quite, you talked about earlier when I think you did the rebirthing and the heart opens and you have such a release like that. So there was obviously a lot of pain, whether you were conscious of that or not. It doesn't matter. The fact is, it opened. So, as we heal the heart, it allows life to come in, or it doesn't. We allow ourselves to allow what has heart for us to come in, instead of protecting ourselves from the heart, which is what the mind tends to do. So when we have reasons, when we flip out of our heart and move into this operational center and create reasons for everything, there's stories for everything, and we intellectualize everything, we disconnect from the heart. And so what essentially happens is the heart is protected because it doesn't know whether it can't trust you anymore. Wow. It really can't trust it because the energy center is so up here and it's all logical. And what happens is sometimes we'll hit barriers where life will be very difficult, so that we'll either laugh our head off. I mean, pardon the expression, but that's essentially what happens. We laugh our head off. We get rid of the head and we bring ourselves back into the body. That's what happens. Brilliant. We laugh the head off. It is brilliant when you think about it. We laugh the head off and the heart opens, because if you have a real belly laugh, the whole system moves into this moment and everything opens, you see. And so, or we have a breakdown where we're breaking down from the head again. We're breaking our energy down into the body. Wow. And we have a big cry and everything feels better, because essentially we're closer to our essential truth, you see. That's why the heart is so important. It's a central chakra, and it's where we should be living from, but But it's a conspiracy. We're supposed to be up here to give us the opportunity to discover what love is. So if we came here and lived here from day one, we wouldn't really be able to experience separation as we do here. And we came here purposefully to experience life as separate from each other. So that's why we trapped into this body, and we follow a program in the head that believes that we're all separate from everything else. Everyone's separate from each other, and everything is separate. The mind will tell you that it's this or it's this. And I think you might have heard me use the analogy of the day and the night, where the day cannot exist without the existence of the night. So they're essentially the same thing, because they need each other for their existence. So even though the mind sees them as it's either day or it's night, really the heart would see them as the whole thing that moves. And at one moment, as that ball moves, it's day, and then it changes into night. But it can't be separate from itself. And that's how the heart sees everything. It's able to see the whole picture. And I think as consciousness moves toward when we see the whole picture of what's happening on the planet, and realizing that we're hurting each other as we do, we may have an opportunity to help each other, but we're not. We're operating from the mind that's afraid of everything. And, the media is constantly telling you that there's lots to be afraid of. Yeah. And so we stay separate, we fight. But the fight outside is just a fight that's being projected from the inside, So as we heal individually and we come to our heart, then it becomes patently obvious that to hurt another living being is ridiculous, because they are the life force energy that I am. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing.
I just want to state a few things that were coming to me. Firstly was that you said something that's right. Sometimes I when you're talking about me and my heart opening, I was unconscious of my block. And it was something that had happened, I think it was at least 7, I can't remember how long ago it was now, but when I went to that workshop, it had been there for 7 years and I wasn't aware of it. Oh. So when I did the rebirthing with you, I had images and I thought, oh my God, this is still here.
You'd repressed it,
And I had no idea. So this is a good point. So a lot of the times we're not aware of what is actually blocking our hearts. And
that's right.
And 2, you said something about laughing your head off. I actually had a client once, I remember I was doing Reiki on her. And when I got to her solar plexus, something came over me and I just couldn't control myself. And it was a laughter that was coming on. And I just burst out laughing, and so did she. And for the next half an hour, all we did was crying and hysterics, laughing. And I felt so unprofessional, I was like, oh my God, this is so... And then once we calmed down, and we literally spent 30 minutes crying, laughing, for no reason, once we calmed down and we centered ourselves, she said, I have not done that for 20 years.
Wow.
And it was a huge block. She had all sorts of trauma. So even though I thought I was being so unprofessional, it was exactly what she needed to heal, to break through that. So.
Yeah. Well, and you also, obviously you can't be separate from that equation. You were there having the laughter as well. So obviously you needed it as well. Yeah. Isn't it wonderful? That's happened to me in meditations where I've been guiding a meditation. And I am one of these hysterical laughers as well. As a kid, it would happen. And, the whole group would eventually laugh with me. Some people would be there angry and upset. But quite often, but I couldn't stop. I was just uncontrollable. And that's obviously what was needed. But again, same as you, this is so unprofessional. And I'd be telling myself, stop it. And the more I told myself, just no way.
And what came to me when you said that is, so living from your heart is really about joy. And which brings me to my next question is, what does it mean to live from your heart?
Well, exactly that. It means to live from a place that is joyful. We've got in the world of the mind, there are many rules and regulations. A lot of the rules and regulations come from the church from many years past, from the different religions. I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what it is. But there are many rules and regulations, and there's a place for them. There's a great place for them because a lot of the great structures that we have in place that keep things orderly and efficient are because of the rules and regulations. But there are too many, and so when we're up here and when we follow this too much, we forget that life is a very, very short time. I mean, this place has been here for billions of years, and we come here for a ridiculously small amount of time each lifetime in this body. And so to make it so serious is so futile, but it's taken me years to get that really, really, I heard it here, but the work is not intellectual. The work is not to try and work things out. You've got to get yourself, you've got to pull the attention into the heart. So living from the heart is an experience where more than anything, you're living in the moment and you're experiencing life as it is in this moment, because the only place I'll ever be able to experience love is this moment. The only place I'll ever be able to experience joy or bliss or happiness is in this moment. There is no future moment that I will be able to get to experience it. It'll only ever happen in this moment. So the first step to experience living in the heart is to be where the heart is, both physically, but psychologically, it's always here, as I am always physically here. So that's the foundation of all spiritual work. But it really means that I need to learn to live here to experience joy, because if I go into my thoughts about life, essentially my thoughts are projections of my deep-seated beliefs. So they're limited. I've been working in my life with not being good enough. Self-worth was a huge issue for me. And so I would make choices that I thought were the right ones at the moment, but would end up in me not getting what I want to validate the fact that I'm not worthy.
Yes, I can so relate, and I think a lot of people will relate to this.
Yeah, and so that's what. And so for me, it showed up financially. I had made no money, and also in relationships in my earlier days, and so. But it was all perfect, but I couldn't see it that what I was just doing all the time was following a thought form. I was just simply following a thought. So the way out of that, you see, this moment holds infinite potential. Everything that could possibly exist is in this moment. So this is where I need to be to free myself from any limitation that comes from my thoughts about reality. So to get to a place that has heart, I need to bring my attention off the thoughts, off the stories, I should say, about life. Yeah. And most people are in those stories most of the time. I'm in the story more than I'm not still. I'm in the moment a lot more than I used to be, but I'm still in the story more than I'm not. It's still a work in progress for me. It's because it's so programmed. But now, because I've done so much work on being present, I'm able to get off my stuff. When I realize an emotion comes that I don't like, see, that's the barometer. The emotion is the barometer. The emotion says, hey, you're thinking something that it's not nice. Yeah. So now what usually happens is that people will then try and change the outside world or other people so that they don't feel that emotion. But all that emotion is doing is saying, you're thinking wrongly. You're on a story that doesn't work. And I'm giving you this emotion to warn you. It's like trying to tell you, but people don't get that. And so the emotional body is essentially trying to say to you, get off your story. Now, when I find myself, because the thoughts are so quick, so if I find myself emotionally dipping, I'll go, oh, what did I just think? Which story did I just find myself in? I'll go back to it and come off it.
That's a good one.
And I'll come back to this moment, because this moment is the only thing that's true. So my question to myself is, what do I know that's true? And the only thing that I know is true, really, is that I'm sat here, my feet are as hot as they are, they're touching the ground as they are, my body's touching the chair as it is, I'm experiencing you, Melany, as I am, I experience the room, the house as I do. So this is the only thing, I can't deny it. It's an undeniable truth that this is actually happening. So if I pull myself here, I realize there's actually nothing to worry about here. Nothing at all. Really nothing. Nothing at all. So all that other stuff is an illusion. Or it
Yeah.
really is an illusion. And the more I generate realizing that this is okay, in fact, it's more than okay, then of course I generate more of that because that becomes real for me
Yeah,
instead of the story.
and that's
Go
so
ahead. Sorry.
beautiful because it's so simple.
Mm.
And it's so simple. You've just said it. It's just
Yeah.
bringing your attention and your awareness into the now. And a lot of people overcomplicate this whole process. I
Oh,
mean, they do say that the
oh,
longest journey that you'll ever take is from your head to your heart, right?
oh. There's no doubt about it. It's the only journey to take. To add to that, it really is the only journey that you should really embark upon. Not should, but that has real value. It's the only journey that has value because that journey from your head to your heart will bring you abundance.
Yeah,
Now, we've been taught that billions of dollars is the answer to everything. We've made it God. Celebrity status right now is, phenomenally big. The whole planet is watching TV and they think that being something, achieving something, or earning or having is the answer. But it isn't the answer, which doesn't cost you anything, by the way. It might a few
yeah,
dollars for a course or books or whatever, but it doesn't essentially cost you anything. But the answer is to learn to live from your heart, to live right here, because when you're here, the heart is abundant. She will bring you everything that is beautiful for you, everything. Now, that
totally.
for you, that might be millions of dollars. It might not, but it won't be lacking in anything, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
And I
Look, some people
totally,
are supposed to have it as wealthy. Sorry, I'll just finish this. But
yeah,
some people are supposed to have wealthy existence, some people not. But abundance is knowing that you'll always have more than you need. That's abundance. That's knowing that life is abundant.
totally. Well, I believe what you just said because I have dipped in and out of my heart. And like you, I'm working, continuously working on being present. And I noticed that the times that I truly, I mean, I didn't even intentionally create it. When I truly went into my heart space and felt that joy, like real joy, I can't even explain it because it was an experience that I only had on my own here.
Yeah. Okay.
The minute I entered my heart and I experienced that joy, things like great big huge things happened in my life in terms of abundance, holidays all paid for, big ones,
Wow.
and retreats and
Wow.
and I didn't do anything. I didn't even
Yeah.
manifest it intentionally. It wasn't even what I wanted to create. I just wanted to connect to my heart and feel that joy. And every time I come to that space, things happen
Isn't that
magically.
fantastic? Absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. The energy that is the life force within you is successful. And so if you can tap into that, it will show you what to do. It will manifest. It'll show you clearly that's the next
Oh,
step
I
for your
love that.
success. It's already successful. But if you go life, your stories, you'll be limited by them. And they're
Totally.
coming up from the unconscious, but they're purposefully there so that you have the opportunity to find yourself as love. That's why
Yeah.
we come here. We come here to learn to experience separation, and it's an incredible experience. And every time we die, every time we pop, it's so joyful. Now, I'm not saying in any way that you should. That doesn't give you any permission to go and hurt anybody and kill them and say it's okay because I'm freeing them. That's not
Yeah.
what I'm saying at all. Of course not.
Yeah.
Life reveres life, or we always revere life. But when it does come to the time for us to move, we go back to our essential self, and it's blissfully enlightening, blissfully, which is why we keep coming back every time to have this. And we're up the way I see it. I'll never know, but I like to see it as we're up there with a huge menu, and like, okay, which body am I going to go? Am I going to be man or woman? Rich, say famous? What am I going to experience? What does my soul want to learn this time? What can I, from what I've learned, and what would be a great experience for me?
Wow.
I watched a great movie last night called Belle. Have you seen that movie?
No, I
It's
haven't.
it's based on a true story set in the 1750s, and this black girl was adopted by an aristocratic family,
Okay.
and and anyway, because of that, it's a fantastic story because how difficult. Because black people then were really, really not accepted. You know, it was unbelievable. Anyway, the head was the top judge of England or whatever that's called. I can't remember, and he had the opportunity to change the way the whole world of slavery was adopted from that moment on, and so. You know, you can see that there was a conspiracy. This, from as far as I'm concerned, that wasn't an accident, because that girl's birth into that family changed life. It wasn't the end of it, obviously, but it was a beginning. It was a beginning to bring more harmony to humanity. You know, although we're still fighting with the same issues, but I think the way. I think more than ever now, what's good about the presidency that we've got right now in America, what's good about what's happening in England, you know, where I'm from, is that more than ever we're able to see what has been unconscious between people. The separation that was unconscious is now being brought up for us to see. So instead of continuing the fight, we're bringing it conscious so we can see this isn't the way. We're all humans. You know, that's not the way. And we can see so clearly the divide. And we will eventually heal that divide. We will. I'm sure of it. So I think this is a good thing where we're at politically. I like to look at it from that point of view. I know there'll be many people that might not agree.
No, I like that. I like what you said about it's actually becoming more visible so that we can actually see, and it's not unconscious. I mean, it wasn't really, maybe bits of it was there, but we kind of ignore it.
Certainly not as conscious. So the more conscious it is, the more opportunity we can really do something about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Beautiful. So
I've gone totally off topic.
Yeah, so. It's okay. I think you mentioned a little bit about why don't we operate from the heart. If you have anything else to share about that.
Just that, as I said, I really believe it's a conspiracy. I think we purposefully come here, and you know, when we're dropped into a body, and in my case, I'm English, and so first 7 years of my life, I'm taught to fit that tribe, the tribe that is English. I'm taught to fit the tribe that is English, but I'm also taught to fit the tribe that is Northern English, which is where I'm from, and then and then my family. So I fit that tribe. I fit my small family tribe, and then I fit all the other tribes. And I'm also European, or at least I was until Brexit. You know, I'm European, and then I'm also a human being. So we come in and we're trained to be humans. So we have this program that's put in. It's literally like a computer. The brain is programmed to see life as separate. And it's purposefully done there, so that's done that way, so that you can have an opportunity to remember or remember, put back together that you're love. You know, and when I do that, you see, I think that eventually the whole planet, when we all remember that we are the same thing.
Yeah.
So I like to see that as if there's a ball of energy above the planet that is the energy that is humanity loving itself. So just imagine that there's a ball of energy that is conscious of itself, that is humanity, but loving itself. And up there, we're in that ball, and we look down at the physical realm down here, and we say, let's go down there and have this experience as separate from ourselves. And it's a joyful experience because we always go back to the love that we are, until we eventually discover ourselves and enlighten the whole planet and bring it up, you know, because the physical planet is just a representation of consciousness right now, and we are the robots that represent the state of consciousness on the planet at this particular time. Am I losing you there? Do you follow me?
Yeah, I am. So, that's beautiful. I like how you describe that.
Yeah, so I think we are love. Well, I know we are love, and I think we purposefully forget that, so that we have an opportunity to love ourselves. We've never done it yet. The only thing we do is keep developing more weapons of destruction. That's the only thing we keep doing. And you can say the conspiracy theorists say that it's those against us, but it doesn't matter whether you're developing the weapons, whether you're killing them, being killed, or, well, of course it matters, but it doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. The fact is that consciousness as a whole on the planet right now is still fighting itself.
Yeah.
So as more and more of us wake up to our heart and love and discover love, then that eventually will create the entire conscious plate. The entire world will be conscious, will be a loving consciousness, and the fight will stop.
Totally. And I had this discussion the other day with someone where exactly this. And I basically told them, I understand that out there is very real, but you also have to do your inner work. And he said, well, do you want me just not to do anything? And you think I can resolve this myself? I said, no, but everybody has inner work to do. And this is exactly what you said, a reflection of the collective consciousness. So we are, I mean, obviously, us, me and you, we do still act out some of these self-sabotaging behaviors, maybe even just with our thoughts or whatever. But it's really about doing our inner work so that everyone can wake up, can collectively wake up, so that we can make that shift, like you were talking about.
That's exactly it. And you know, just to expand on that a little bit, there's only me going on from my point of view. You know, when you're talking about that man, yeah, we all have to do inner work. There is only inner work. There is no outside that I know of. That I know outside exists, but my entire experience of life is happening in my brain. It's happening in my energy processing system. So the room that I'm looking at right now is happening inside of me, even though it exists outside of me. It's being experienced by me internally, as you're being experienced by me internally, even though you exist externally. So there is no outside. There's only me going on, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I know we're all going on, but you know what I mean.
And what was coming to me when you said that is, this is what I was trying to get at with him particularly, was his emotional reaction to the situation. He was really triggered by, you know, the racism, the this, the that. And I said, you've got inner work to do. I said,
yeah, exactly.
And this is what he couldn't get, you know, and
couldn't get that it was his stuff.
This emotional reaction, this rage, this anger, this, I understand that it's obviously, we don't want this in our planet. But this, your emotions is the only thing that you have control over, and it's what you need to process to wake up and to let go of this. And the more people can let go of the anger, the hatred, and the fear, and all of that, that's when
it.
We collect.
That's when it'll change. Now it's easier for me. I've never experienced a war. You know, I'm fortunate that I've never experienced a war. I've been born male, Caucasian, white Caucasian, so privileged. Unfortunately, that's just the way of this world.
Yeah.
So I'm coming from a very privileged place, giving this information. I don't know what it's like to be black this lifetime. I don't know what it's like to be underprivileged. I don't know what it's like to be in famine or in a war. I don't. All I know is my experience. But what I do know is that by working on myself and learning to love myself, I offer the opportunity for that for others, you know, because it's a better place. And as I learn to be compassionate and loving with me, I can be with the world at large. And you know, from the place that I'm at right now, the only thing that is real, really, is that we need to help each other. You know, we must help each other. We've got to stop fighting each other.
So, on that note, how can we? I know that you mentioned being present. How can we get to live from the heart? Do you have any other tools or anything that you'd like to share about learning to live from the heart?
I mean, awareness training. So learning, you know, this whole journey of the spiritual journey, meditation is a technique to pull your attention from your thinking about life to life. That's essentially what it's telling you to do. So you're learning to have your attention where your body is. And if you want to live from your heart, you need to be where the heart is. So 1,000 times a day, you come back, you come back, you come back. Whenever you remember, you come back and you check out where your feet are. You know, this is what you've heard me say.
Yeah. I was going to ask you to have a happy moment.
Oh, okay.
With Mark.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe we can do that now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you know, life. If you think about what life, who you are is life force energy. So you're not the body because you can experience the body. You can look at the body. There's something within you that looks at the body. There's something that can look at your body, and you're also not your feelings and you're not your thoughts because you can look at them. But you're the consciousness or the life force that flows through you. But if you keep putting your attention into your mind, that's a cerebral library. It's just information. It's dead information. It's learned and it's dead information. So the place to be is where life is, and life is only ever happening in this moment. I know it's simple, and I know it's a cliche that's been well used, but it really is the truth. So I need to train myself to be where life is, because life is joyful, it's creative, it's expansive, it's always opening, it loves everything, it is everything, And so I need to be where that is to have an incredible life. I need to be with life, right? I can't have an incredible life if I'm always in my thoughts about life.
Yeah.
So what I've got to do, what I've also got to realize is that I have the power to make happy moments whenever I want. Now, most people think that life happens and they feel up or down because of that. So he says this, she says that, they did this, that happened at work, lost the job, whatever it was. But actually, that's because I'm following a story about something. I'm following a thought about something.
Yeah.
So something happens in the outside world, and it just happens, right? It just happens. It's what I make it mean that determines my emotional state. Because life does what it does. So I've got to realize, what am I making it mean? So if I bring my attention to the moment off the story, then I free myself from negative emotions. Because if you think about this, in this particular now, everything's exactly the way it should be. How do we know that? Because it is this way. It couldn't be another way. It just couldn't. It's literally impossible. I couldn't be sat in my car right now because I'm sat here.
Yeah.
I know I might sit in my car later, but I couldn't be sat in it right now because I'm sitting here. So whenever I realize that this is exactly what it's supposed to be, because this is where I am and this is the way it is, it just couldn't be another way. Now, when I recognize that, it takes all the pressure off myself needing it to be different, because the mind is continuously telling us you should be this and you should have that. It never stops. It's relentless. Yeah. So I've got to pull myself back from that story. When I come here, as I said earlier, I look around and there's nothing to worry about. Actually, everything's exactly the way it is. Now, there may be some difficult things going on in your life, and your mind might say, but I don't want this. I want it to be different. But the truth is, it's this. And the quicker you get to the acceptance of this, the easier it is to change whatever it is that you'd like to change, because you're saying yes to this moment. So now when I say yes to this moment, when I'm absolutely here with this moment, and I'm not following a story, then I can decide to make myself feel happy. Because it's not dependent on whether you like me or not, or whether you say the right thing, or whether I have enough money in the bank, or whether I don't, or whether it's not dependent on anything. All I'm saying is right here, right now is exactly as it should be, because it's this.
Yeah.
Can't deny, undeniable truth. So when I'm here, what I can then do is make myself happy. So let's do this right now.
Yes.
I'll take you into that. So you simply bring your attention into this moment. So anyone watching this, you can have your eyes open or closed, but just bring your attention into this moment. So what that means is you look to where your body is. So the body's happening right here. It can't be anywhere else. So if I bring my attention into the body, I'm going to use the senses that my body has. So what does it feel like to have my feet on the floor the way they are? What does it feel like to have my body touching the chair? Which parts of my body are touching the chair? Am I more on my left or my right? What's the taste in my mouth? How is my breathing? Am I relaxed? Can I relax myself more? If so, yes, then I'll do it. If I can't relax, if I'm tense and I can't relax, never mind. That's just the way it is. I don't try and change anything. So I'm just observing this moment that I find myself in. So right here is the only thing that's true. So what does it feel like to be me right now? What's this relationship I'm having inside of this body with everything that I'm looking at right now? What does it actually feel like? Have you ever really looked at yourself in this moment? Now, you don't analyze it, you just observe. You're just simply experiencing yourself, moving your hands or not, tasting, hearing, looking, thinking, having a look at what your thoughts are saying, and feeling. And when you pull yourself right into this moment, so you're not on a story, you're really focusing on keeping yourself in this moment right here, right now. Really focusing on that. Right here, right now. So there's no story. So when I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a big smile, an imaginary smile, in my heart center. Now, it's been proven by those that do this sort of work that by making the heart, by putting energy into the heart, it affects our health. It really does. Yeah. So it really does. So put imaginary smile in your heart center. That's the center of your chest. And then in your mind's eye, you just explode it into every cell. There's 50 trillion cells going on inside. So, if you can imagine that there's 50 trillion cells of you smiling right now, your face has to follow. It has to follow, because 50 trillion cells, it's a lot of smiles. And that's who you are. So Now, and then if you can magnify that, this feeling right now, this nice feeling, there's no story attached to this. There's just you right in this moment feeling nice. Now, if you can magnify it, make it even, just expand it, make it feel stronger, this moment. It doesn't need anything other than your permission to feel nice. And that's it. That's all you've got to do. Now, when you do that, now you've got to do it 1,000 times a day, because our feelings create life. Our feelings generate, they attract to us the similar vibrations. So obviously, the happier I am all the time, the more happy experiences I'm going to see, because I'm generating happiness. This is a key to abundance. So that's why 1,000 times a day I've got to get off the story, pull myself, realize it's just a story, it's nothing else, and come back and let's have a happy moment. Now, sometimes it's easier than others. Yeah. Sometimes we're emotionally challenged and it's more difficult. But just work it. Just keep working it. Come back. Because the other thing is that life will always give you the answers. But life's only happening now. So if you want the answer to anything, there's only one place you're ever going to find it, and that's in this moment.
I love that.
It will talk to you. Yeah, it'll talk to you. But it won't come from your head. It will come from you connecting to life, you being with life. Yeah.
Beautiful. Mark, how can people get hold of you? Can you give us your website, or I know you have a Facebook group as well.
I have a Facebook group called "You Are the Opportunity You've Been Looking For." It's a closed group, but if you come along, I'll bring you in for sure. Just click on the ask to join this group.
I'll put links to it and below the video as well.
I have a website. If you can put it's a long. You can put the link to that.
Okay, I'll put it on there. I wanted to ask you if there was one last message. Like your number one message to people out there that could truly. I know we talked about just coming back into the heart. Is there any last message that you really want to get out there, or that you feel is the most important thing in terms of your work?
I think that what I've just said, learning to be in the moment, and also letting go. When you're stuck, whenever you're challenged up here, just say, let's let this go. Let go, come back. It's essentially letting go is coming back to the moment. Let's just get off it. Get off it. Let's come back. I'm not here long enough to make it so serious. I'm really not. There's going to be a day when I look down from up there, I'll be dead. And, if I die tonight, a great question to ask yourself, if I die would I be happy with the choices I've made today? You know, did I laugh enough today?
Wow.
Did I have enough fun today? You know, there's many documented cases of people dying, and none of them regret having become more successful or making more money. None of them. The regrets are all based in love. Wish I'd spoken to my wife more. Wish I'd told the truth. Wish I'd showed my feelings. Wish I'd spent more time with my children. They're all love related every single time, every time. You know, and so do it now. Don't wait till your deathbed. You know,
Yeah.
we make it so serious because of this money, because of the money thing. Unfortunately, yeah, we have to make it, but you know, we do have to make it. But there's an easier way, and I think the more energy you put into loving self, finding heart, the better life's going to get. Really, it is. It really is.
Beautiful. I love that. Mark, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing all of your insights. I loved it.
Thank you so much, Melanie. I really appreciate you bringing me on your show. You're doing an amazing job. Please continue it, and thank you again. Thank you so much. I've waffled on. I'm sorry. I tend to do that, but there we go.
It's all right. It was all relevant, and the people that need to hear it, you know, will hear it.
I guess so.
I'll speak to you soon.
Take care.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon. Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.